So the ram was just released, and it's more terrifying than any other entity in the game so far. Yeah, not even the deer and the owl will go near it. They are terrified of this thing, because they know that the ram is not just any ordinary ram, it's a powerful being that has risen from the volcano, and it only extends the lore of 99 Nights in the Forest. So if you didn't know, with the ram also came the new volcanic biome, and in the biome, everything is very hot. Unlike when the owl came out and the entire biome was all snow. And there's a perfectly good reason why the ram prefers to be in the heat. See, around the volcanic biome, you'll often see cultists in small worship buildings where you'll also notice the ram image on here, but then things only continue to get more stranger when you notice cultists in cages. And not only that, scattered around the volcanic biome are these sacrifice totems, aka voodoo dolls. There's something dark happening around here. Yeah, a lot of people are saying that the ram is actually the dad of the kids, or that it's even another kid, which is actually not true at all. No, I believe that this ram is actually a demon that spawned in through a ritual sacrifice. See, so far all of these entities are based off of mythological creatures. The deer is based off of the Wendigo mythology. The owl, I've compared it to Stolas, which is an owl demon, but it's also been compared to a Kikayon as well, which is a cryptid from Africa. But now what about the ram? What is the ram actually based on? Well, see, I believe that the ram actually takes some inspiration off of the stories of Baphomet. Now, if you don't know what this creature is, it's actually a demonic idol that takes the appearance of a winged goat that also has some human traits to it. Yeah, in the Wikipedia here, it says, this Baphomet became a central symbol of occultism, which is a category of supernatural beliefs, which, yeah, in 99 Nights in the Forest, there's a lot of these supernatural beliefs. You get some sacrifice zones that you sometimes see in the map. There's cultists found worshipping in a building nearby the volcano. Yeah, and even in the description for the ram update, it reads, in the depths of the volcanic biome, something is stirring. The creature is rumored to have a rage that cannot be controlled. Even the deer and the owl won't go near it. Now, something is stirring in the volcanic biome. What does that mean? Well, you know when you enter the volcano, there's a sign that says the volcano is hungry? Well, I believe there was cultists or some things being sacrificed in the volcano that caused the ram to wake up. Yeah, that's right. This ram entity literally rose from the ashes after multiple beings were sacrificed into the volcano. Like again, even scattered throughout the biome, you can sometimes see these sacrifice totems, aka voodoo dolls. And even more than that, it ties back to Baphomet because the name first emerged in the 14th century during the trials of the Knights Templar. Yet, so if you don't know this story, these Templars were accused of heresy, blasphemy, and pretty much just demonic practices to the point that they were burned at the stake. And yeah, these Knights Templars were also said to worship this Baphomet figure, and therefore they were punished. Now, there's actually debates whether or not they were worshipping a demonic figure called Baphomet. Some historians say that the Templars were framed, but that doesn't stop this whole Baphomet creature from becoming a popular mythological figure. And now you're probably all saying, but Flush, in 99 Nights in the Forest, the thing, it's not a goat, it's a ram. Which I 100% agree, but that doesn't mean that the developers can't take inspiration off of this Baphomet creature. Because again, in 99 Nights in the Forest, in this whole volcanic biome, we do keep getting a theme of sacrificing going on here. There's the cultists in cages, there's wolf bodies found in ritual-like structures, and the big one again being the volcano is hungry. Yeah, and just to tie it in more with history, in ancient Greece, rams, sheep, and goats all used to be sacrificed in respects to their gods. But it wasn't just ancient Greece. Even in medieval Europe, goats, sheep, and rams all used to be linked with the devil and demonic entities, to the point that people would accuse witches of sacrificing these creatures to gain powers or curses. And I believe that's exactly what's going on in the volcanic biome in 99 Nights in the Forest. See, because there's another thing that we can find in this volcanic biome, and it's this statue right here. See, this statue looks like a cultist, but it's not just any ordinary cultist. This cultist isn't wearing the typical skull mask. No, this cultist here actually has a crown. This cultist is actually known as the Cultist King. See, in the game, you'll be able to find this new mace known as the Cultist King Mace, which, yeah, it's the exact same mace that this statue is holding. But seeing that this statue is half buried in the ground tells us that these cultists and this ram creature have been in this area for probably hundreds, if not even thousands of years, which is why the deer and the owl are terrified terrified of this ram because it's been around for a longer time than those two. So this is what I believe to be the updated timeline right now. So many years ago, there was a ton of cultists that believed in supernatural beings. These cultists were led by the cultist king, who would rule over all of them and take over the volcanic biome. The cultist king and his followers would eventually do a strange ritual in which they would sacrifice creatures and people into the volcano and thus would spawn in the ram. Now, a lot of the cultists would end up worshipping the ram, but other cultists would fear it. They would try to escape from it and hide in the snow biome. And not only that, they would turn to other beings. Because in the snow biome, we also see this ice temple in which there was other rituals happening here. But these rituals weren't for the ram. No, they were for another demon creature. They were for the entity, aka the owl. Yeah, again, there's a lot of theories that the owl is another kid, or it's the mom or the dad of the children, but that is actually far from the truth. Because in the snow biome, there is abandoned buildings in which there were scientists trying to figure out what exactly this owl creature was. They dubbed it the entity. They knew that it hated sudden movements, that it was hungry, and that it was linked to the ice temple. So these cultists that ran away from the ram and hid in the snow biome would spawn in another demon creature known as the entity. Again, in the ice temple, we do see some frozen objects, almost like a ritual was actually successful, and therefore the owl spawned in. But even then, the owl was not as powerful as the ram. And at this point, it's been many years, and we're now at the present where the scientists and the military actually move into this forest to explore what exactly is going on here. Again, we know the scientists are here because there are buildings with notes about the owl. There's military bases that can be found throughout the forest. But that's when the scientists got curious and started performing their own experiments. See, in the forest, when you're going around exploring the area, you'll sometimes see some animals trapped in cages. These animals would then be transported to a nearby science building that you can actually find, and in the science building, you'll see one broken cage. This cage is where I believe the deer came from. That's right, the scientists were also trying to do their own experiments, just like the cultists before them. The cultists had made the ram, the cultists had made the owl creature. Now the scientists wanted to make something similar, but they didn't know how. That was at least until the plane crashed. Because at some point while all these animal experiments were occurring, a plane would crash into the forest, and in there would be 4 children. But not only that, there was also a mom. Now the plane crash in the game is actually based on the real life story of 4 children who survived the Amazon forest for 40 days. And yeah, they got here through a plane crash where only the 4 children and their mother would survive. But unfortunately, the mother was badly injured and wouldn't survive her injury. But going back to 99 Nights in the Forest, I believe the mother did survive. But I also believe the scientists took her and merged her with a deer creature. Because in the science building, we do see 2 lab tables, one for the deer and one for the mom. It's honestly a very out there theory, but you do see some rangers logs scattered throughout the game in which hunters first thought that the deer was a human, and to a certain extent, they would be right. It was half human. It was the children's mother. She would break out of her cage and attack the scientists and other humans in the forest, leaving only those that would worship her alive. Yeah, this also explains in the missing kids posters where the kids are terrified of the deer and the deer grabs them, but it doesn't actually harm them. Instead, it places the kids in a safe environment away from all these cultists and other dangerous entities. See, she was actually trying to protect her children from the dangers of the others. That's why when you start playing the game, the deer actually attacks you, but then at the end of it all, the deer extends its hand reaching out to its children, but then realizes the children would be better off with you, the person who's there to rescue them. Yet this whole story is a tragic one, but it's also a fascinating tale that only expands with the RAM update. But what do you all think? Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to subscribe. Goodbye.